Good evening, everybody, and you're watching the Integrity Ignite series here on FTN. The Integrity Ignite series goes up to upstate New York, here in Watkins Glen. And we get ready to send things off here from the Glen. Let's take a look at your qualifying order. It's Thomas Bresci on pole from Justin Morton with Rob Ackley in third. Timothy Johnson in fourth with Matthew Thurnhorst in fifth. Chad McGaws in sixth, followed by Cody Smith, Nick Terbach, Braxton DeWeese, and Don Steffson in 10th. Further down the grid, it's Brian McFerrin next to Cody Erdman, Jacob 5, and Kyle Cooper in row number 7. Joe Dinsmore and Chuck Sweeting round out row number 8. Then Michael Stroll, Travis McSquiston, then Sebastian Miller, and Ryan Potter rounding out row number 10. Brandon Bernhardt and Forrest Smith, the last people to set a qualifying time, and then it's Brad Patton, Tim Rogers, Gail Brooks, Alan Rowell, Boomer Logan, Adam Wood, and Calvin Flaris there in the 30th spot. He will round out our grid. Here from upstate New York in Watkins Glen. Should be an interesting one here tonight. 50 laps here at the road course in the NASCAR Xfinity Series chassis. Should be an interesting race, no doubt. This is one of my favorite road course combos. I'm not a fan of racing the Xfinity car, especially on usually such a really a slidey track that encompasses a lot of grip. Most of the time is what it requires, but you know, this track really is fun. You get to sling the car around, and it's unlike a lot of other road course combos with a stock car. You know, I think it truly encompasses what it's like to race a stock car on a road course. You know, it's not the Roval, where you have the banking, and then you have some of the cheapo infield turns. This is a road course meant for road racing, and that's what Watkins Glen brings to the table, and I couldn't be more excited to be here with the Integrity Ignite series at Watkins Glen. Pace car making its rounds around the track, and it's going to be a longer pace lap than usual, taking the full pace lap starting from the start-finish. This is the boot layout, so even though it's a shorter run around the track, doesn't encompass the whole entirety of the track, it is still a 1 minute 13-second lap time. Some of the fastest guys were setting at qualifying, so by no means a quick lap. It's going to take a minute here from Watkins Glen as we get ready for the pace car to enter dive down pit road and send our field off to green, as pace car will make its dive down the yellow marker indicating where these cars should enter pit road. As the pace car going to make its dive down, it's Thomas Bresci and Justin Morton to lead us to green here in Watkins Glen. Barney holding the green flag, and we are green from Watkins Glen. Thomas Bresci rounds out of turn 4 for the first time here tonight, and he's going to lead the first lap. And the separation almost immediate here from Watkins Glen. The gap's now increasing to almost a second per driver. As it's right now 3/10 of a second between Thomas Bresci and Justin Morton. Then it's another 5/10 of a second to Rob Ackley. And the gaps just increase and increase. Cody Smith picking up some moves here in the middle of the field. Now, a lot of these guys going single file, and not a lot of them close to one another. Jacob 5 is one who's close, and he might sit it down to the inside here. But Don Steffenson thinks better of it. he will stay right behind him. Gale Brooks now in the back as he tries to make a dive here in the bus stop. He's going to slide it down to the inside. Will he hit the wall? No, he doesn't. Goes wide, but oh, and the 91 goes off. And off goes the 91. That's Calvin Flerisk in the 91. He will go off in the bus stop. No caution. He will go around and save it. He will be last. Gale Brooks able to make up the spot and then some. He was able to clear him by some margin. Justin Morton now as we go to lap 3 out of 50. Right up to the back bumper of Thomas Bresci. Yeah, he has been close so far to open this race. He was the only one that stayed within 0.3 of a second to our race leader, and he's been the only one to put pressure so far. Been able to hang with Bresci as they go down the back straightaway. That gap ever so decreasing as it's going to increase in the braking zone, giving him a little bit of room, but they still hold it tight to the inside, and these two are running great through here. And that's where Bresci is able to find the speed as he gains 1.5 tenths over the 9. Off the carousel is where Morton has been gaining his time now, as that was a way that he was able to catch up to the number 24. As now, let's see if he gains any off the final corner. No, it looks like he's going to lose some. But he's the only one been able to hang this close and this long with a driver. This is by far one of the closest battles on track. Next closest one, Brian McFerrin, as he's going to dive down to the inside of McQuiston, but I don't think he will get it. He'll back out, and he'll think better of it. That is the second closest battle on track that wasn't the battle for the lead. These two are going to go down the back straight away, and they're going to go to the bus stop. This is where Bresci has been able to make up that time on Morton. Doesn't look like he'll be able to do that now, as braking entering the carousel. These two are closer than ever entering through here. Morton cannot afford to make a mistake, and neither can Bresci. If Bresci makes a mistake, that's the 9 right around him. Bresci taking a wider arc through the final corner, and that'll give him more of a speed down the back straightaway. A couple more spots have been lost here. 93. Travis McQuiston, as he's been slowly falling back as he's loose, stabbing at the gas. He's going to go have a side-by-side battle with Chuck Sweeting in the 95, or the 75, excuse me. But they'll go battling side-by-side. Sweeting will get the spot, and he's up a couple spots. It was Joe Dinsmore. He's up at the 95. That's the 95. As you can see how much these guys were lifting. Flat-out commitment there through the bend before the back. Straight away, but already lap times have fallen off a cliff. The only person who hasn't run a 13 in the top 10 is Cody Smith. Having its scoring was marking in 12th, of which he is. And so everyone in the top 10 is still running 13s except Chad Nicklaus, Nick Terbach, and Braxton DeWeese. Oh, here comes a couple more. Don Stephenson, he's going to fall back a couple too. Jacob 5 to find himself down the next straightaway. So everyone now starting to slow down to a 14. Only 3 in the top 10 now that have not hit a 14. Matthew Thornhorst, Justin Morton, and Thomas Bresci. These are the only 3 that have not hit a 14 yet on the racetrack. Bresci has just been able to hold and command this lead over Morton as he really hasn't made a dive or try and fight for this position. They've been really stagnant throughout the battle between each other. They've been within that 0.2 of a second range since the beginning of this race, but Morton has not been close enough to make a move, or has not been ballsy enough to make a move, either to go down the inside or try and swing it around the outside of Bresci. He's still been in front of him and holding his own. Bresci going to come across to lead lap 6 on to lap 7. That 24 has led every single lap thus far this race and looks to not turn back at all. John Stephenson in the mix as well. He's trying to make up a spot on the 13 to Braxton DeWeese. He was within that 1/10 of a second ring. And I wonder if he'll try and go for the move in the back straightaway into the bus stop, as that's what's popular, to try and send it down to the inside when your opponent's least expecting it. He tries a different line, but that won't work. And he'll lose time on the back straightaway. Oh, but Braxton DeWeese makes a mistake right as we went on board with Stephenson, and DeWeese will fall 2 spots. Braxton DeWeese makes a mistake, and he'll fall down 2 spots. John Stephenson gets the spot, and so does Jacob Fry. And it's a net 2 loss for Braxton DeWeese as he will slide back to 10th. And that is exactly what Stephenson wanted. He didn't want to pressure him so hard that Don might make a mistake. He wanted to pressure him just enough that Braxton DeWeese made a mistake, and that's exactly what happened. Just sent it in a little too hard on the brakes and went right through the grass of the bus stop. Justin Morton right behind Thomas Bresci, as he started to lose a little bit more time than he was before, but Morton still has the faster lap times. Give it by a few hundredths, but it's still the faster lap times. Morton now able to catch up in the bus stop section. Lost a couple tenths on the exit, but was able to gain some in the center. Let's see what happens out of the carousel. Morton having a good run through the carousel. That gained him about another 1/10 of a second. Can he keep it through the final 2 corners? And timing and scoring, yes, says that he will hold on to that gap. And he'll start to close. But he won't be close enough. Still Thomas Bresci leads, or Justin Morton. Going down further through the field, the next closest battle is Michael Stroll. His 3-car battle between Michael Stroll, Joe Dinsmore, and Kyle Cooper. They're all battling for position. So is Forrest Smith. As he's gained a spot on the 99 of Potter. He now has Gale Brooks within his sight. Joe Dinsmore in the middle of this pack of 3 drivers. They're all within about 0.3 of a second. And it's been a close battle between these 3. And I think the only thing that's going to make this battle even closer is if one of the guys makes a mistake. Now, I'm not saying that there's no passing at Watkins Glen. We've obviously seen passing already this race. But if you can disturb someone's head mentally during the race, if you can try and get them out of their groove and get them to miss concentration, that is almost an easy pass for you if you could set it up right. And that's what I think a lot of people are going to try and do, especially going later into the run when tires are a lot more worn. You get someone caught off guard, they slide, and then their car's going to be sliding for the rest of the race until they come down and get new tires. Here comes a side-by-side battle. That's Michael Stroll and Joe Dinsmore here. This is the battle for 15th. Joe Dinsmore going to send it. Michael Stroll going to send it on the inside. Joe Dinsmore will leave the gap and leave the spot. The 95 being willing to be relegated to the 16th position. So that's not going to be a lot of good points on the board. But so far, a lot of these guys have been running so well that I don't think it will really matter all that much in the end. We have about a 27-car field, so spots do definitely matter more than most. But I think this early on, there's no reason why you should be pushing super hard. You know, you still got about 50 or so, 40 or so laps left, and Michael Stroll going to go for a slide off the exit of the carousel. He'll save it, and Dinsmore will make up the spot again. Dinsmore able to retake that spot. This is the battle with Tim Rogers here in the back, and that's Brandon Bernhardt as Rogers slid out of the carousel, and he won't be able to be close. The battle for the lead has stayed the same between the same two people up front this whole time. Within 0.1 of each other now is 0.176 going through the bus stop. This is the closest Morton has ever been and held throughout a lap. Faster laps now starting to get more lopsided now as Thomas Bresci is 1:14.484 and Justin Morton 1:14.560. So the difference in lap times now starting to become more apparent. The leader has just been swapped, and now Justin Morton is with the slower time than Thomas Bresci. And now Justin Morton goes faster by a few hundredths of a second. 15.166 compared to a 15.098. These two have been really close on lap times this entire time. Justin really has not made a mistake, and neither has Bresci. And that is why not only are they starting to gap the field in terms of pace, they're starting to gap each other because they want to get that spot so badly. Morton choosing to sit in line and be calm and patient, waiting for his perfect opportunity. That might cost him a chance later, but right now he still sits well perfectly behind the 24 car. I wonder if the strategy that the 9 of Justin Morton on may be fuel related, if you can extend it from what the leader gives him. These two battling it out hard after the exit of the carousel. And it's been an impressive battle between these two. These guys have been leading the field so far, and no one else has been able to try and compete up here for the lead. It's only been Bresci and Morton. And these two have been fighting tooth and nail within about a tenth or 2/10 of a second with each other. And I think so far that unless some drastic thing happens, these two are going to be our contenders for the win no matter what, hands down. Here's the battle further back on the field. This is the battle for 14th. It's Brian McFerrin, Braxton DeWeese, and Cody Smith. These three all not setting lap times. A lot of these guys being clumped up together in their own separate packs. And this is a pack of about 4 cars together. And the gap separating them is maybe almost a second right now. This is the closest gap is Cody Smith. Going to look to the inside down to that straightaway as he is going to make the move. And it's a block from the 51 of Cody Erdman. I don't know how he was able to pull that off without turning himself into the pit, or not into the pit road wall, but into the corner right where the bus stop intersects with the right with the wall, the non-safer barrier. So these guys have been all battling it out, and now it's a 4-car pack between these two. Going back to the battle for the lead, Justin Morton has slowed down again by only a couple of thousandths. It's 14.879, 14.915. These two have been impressive when fighting for the spot. They've been really clean when racing each other, and they haven't done anything ridiculous as far as moves go for blocking, as far as moves goes for trying to pass. These guys have been the class of the field and been really calm and organized. They've gone through the bus stop multiple times now. Now one of them has a lick of damage from either hitting the grass too hard or running into the inside wall on that first curve, which is much easier to do than you think. And because when you enter in a stock car, you can't just kind of lightly turn it in and expect for the best. No, you have to wheel the thing in there. You have to launch and throw the car over the bumps, and that's the way to be fast. And that's exactly what these guys have done. That's exactly what these guys have done so far. Thomas Bressi still leads. Now leads lap 14. Has led every single lap of this race so far. Matthew Thornhorst in third and Rob Ackley in fourth. Timothy Johnston in fifth as the field is continuing to separate. This is one of the other close battles on track. Michael Strayer, who is just coming off of turn 4 now, is having to do battle again with Joe Dinsmore. As Joe may be looking to send it to the inside on Kyle Cooper, unable to make the move work, as he'll sit right behind him. One of the other close battles on track, it's Travis McQuiston there, and he is right behind Sebastian Miller in the 83. These two have been battling it out now for a couple laps. As that's one good thing about Watkins Glen, the individual battles across the racetrack, and that's something that you can only get at a real road course. You know, when the field separates and you have that level of separation that splits up the cars, it's nice to have individual, almost groups of battles around the racetrack with people of similar pace and ones who haven't really made mistakes. But I'll tell you what, the gaps are ever increasing. Jacob Fye, who was once back here at one point, has caught up, and now he's in the top 10. Travis McQuiston going through the final corner now, and our leader, he's down the back straightaway. That's over half the track in difference. And now battling here, it's the 51 side-by-side Cody Erdman, and around the outside with the 18 of Cody Smith able to make that one work. This is going to be a 4-car battle as here comes Braxton DeWeese. Peeking down to the inside and thought better of it. I wondered if he was going to send it in, chose not to. And I think that was a smart move. You know, it's only lap 16 out of 25, not even halfway yet. And so there's still a lot of race left to run. You don't want to throw away your chance at a win or throw away your race car just yet by making a simple mistake trying to make a move in the bus stop just yet on lap 16 out of 50. Justin Morton still ever so close to the 24 of Thomas Bressi, as no one has been able to make a move yet. But I'll tell you what, the number 8 of Matthew Thornhorst, I believe, is starting to catch our two leaders. Here's the last lap times. It's Thomas Bressi with a 15.336, Justin Morton with a 2.39, and Matthew Thornhorst with a 15.217. So that 8-car is slowly catching up to our 2-car battle for the lead, and we may have a 3-car battle for the lead. Well, it's been an interesting battle up to this point with our leaders, as they really haven't decided to make a move, and Morton looked to the outside there. The final 2 corners, thinks better of it, and he'll slide right back behind the 24. But with these guys battling this hard, that's going to contribute to the gain of Matthew behind them. Thornhorst now within that 0.7 of a second range, just slowly catching. And the lap times go as follows. Thomas Bressi with a 15.417. Justin Morton 0.003 of a second off at a 15.420. And Matthew Thornhorst with a 15.241. So he has gained time on these, no doubt, as far as the last lap goes. He was almost over a second back, and now he's pushing the, wow, 0.6. He's getting closer. Matthew Thernhorst is ripping right now, and he might be one of the fastest cars on track. No one else has set that low of a 15, and everyone else has set everything from 16.5s to high 16s to low to mid 17s. So these guys are still in the 15s, and Thernhorst is really trying to catch up to these two. Let's see what time he makes out of these two corners. And is he able, and is it enough to try and get within that magical 0.5 of a second range to the guys in front of him? These two going to battle it out continuously out through the front of the field now to a 0.5 behind them. Matthew Thernhorst really trying to cut down this gap as much as possible. And I'd say he's been doing a great job so far trying to get right behind these two, as he hasn't made a mistake. He's closing in on that draft range, which should make it easier down the straightaways to keep up with Diggs. To keep up with Justin Morton and Thomas Bressi as they're starting to, pull away. Oh, so we got a car in the grass. Trying to figure out who that was. And that's the 91 of Calvin Flerisk. And he will park it. Let's see what happened there. So at this point, he has a completely clean car. And it looks to me that nothing's wrong. Remember, this is the man who spun out earlier. Oh, and he gets loose and hits the inside wall. Backs up on track. And there go by our leaders. Kevin Flerisk, I believe, is done for the day and has parked it. He is down pit road, and that will be the end of that. Thomas Bressi still leads over Justin Morton and Matthew Thernhorst. Now, Thernhorst, only driver behind them to set a 5.63. He has caught up a considerable margin and now is within that 0.5 of a second range and can only get closer by a help of him being faster and slightly due to the draft. So on the charge is that number 8, and it's been a pretty impressive one so far. Well, we've gone 20 laps green with no caution, and you gotta wonder when are these guys gonna come down pit road? Because do you split it halfway? Do you pit a couple laps early, try and save at the end? Or do you use as much as possible to try and hold out? Would be an interesting strategy to see as we're coming up on that halfway marker. I believe green flag pit stops open in the next 2 laps or so. Heading through the bus stop now, Matthew Thernhorst now down to a 4.3, a 0.43. But he is closing in on these two, even though Morton has been behind Bressi this whole time. He has been right up there with the 24, and Bressi's going to slide and get loose. This may be the mistake that Morton needs to try and make a pass, and he's still within that 0.1 of a second range, but unable. This is great defense here for the 24. Great defense from Thomas Bressi allows Matthew Thernhorst to get really close and right up into the action. He's now only 0.3 of a second back from the man in front of him, Justin Morton, who is about 2 to 1.5 tenths behind our leader, Thomas Bressi, who so far has led every lap. And let's not understate Rob Ackley, too. He has been, oh my God, he's been so much faster. Rob Ackley may steal the lead on this one. 15.681, the last reported lap time there for the 22, and our leader was a 16.361. So Rob Ackley As, oh my God. I think he's gained over a second this lap. What it would be if he could try and show up and battle these guys before green flag pit stops. Dunhorst now within striking distance of not only our leader but second place with Justin Morton. Justin has been ever so close to Thomas Bressi the entirety of this race. Has tried to make a couple moves, but really none of them have worked. And so he's constantly slid right back behind the 24. But according to the last lap now, Rob Ackley 15.9, Matthew Dunhorst 15.9. So those wonder laps that he had earlier are starting to come to a close for the number 22. Maybe he doesn't catch this field up ahead of him. Out Bressi over Morton and Thurnhorst. Rob Ackley now trying to get in the mix as well. And you can see the different driving styles as how much Thurnhorst is having to lift. Phil is lifting barely on the gas, and now he should be full. And here comes another dive around the outside. Morton gets loose off the carousel, tries to make something work, cannot. Slides left. He's actually going to slide to the right and lose a spot to the number 8 of Matthew Thurnhorst. And he'll lose another spot to Rob Ackley as in comes the 9. The 9 is pitting. Justin Morton comes down pit road. And so that will change up the field order a bit. Thomas Bressi still your leader with over a 0.3 of a second lead to Thurnhorst, and Rob Ackley now back at about 1.09 seconds, or the gap between Ackley and Thurnhorst. So this field being majorly spread out has contributed to this racing. They go through the carousel. Do they pit this time by? That's the money question. Does the 24 and the 8, or the 24 or the 8, come down pit road now? Let's see what happens as we go through the final 2 corners. It should be decided soon whether these guys want to pit or not. And yes, the 24 comes down pit road. Matthew Thurnhorst will stay out, and he will lead a lap. The Thurnhorst going to lead now after making pit stop shuffles. Rob Ackley behind him as well. This is the battle for 5th, riding on board with Nick Turbach, with Don Stevenson right in front of him. As battles are going on here in the middle of the pack, Braxton DeWeese, as these guys all seem close, as Bressi will still find himself down pit road. Now catching up with our leader, or what once was our second place running man. I can't find him in timing and scoring. Right now, here's Thomas Bressi. If he comes out of pit road. Here is Justin Morton, and you can see just the amount of time gained by the 9 as he will leapfrog over the number 24. And it's honestly been a phenomenal race here for the 9 and for the 24. This has all been a great race for them up front. We got another few takers down pit road. Matthew Thurnhorst is going to come down pit road. Nick Turbach will stay out. Don Stevenson will stay out. And Rob Ackley will also stay out. As here's Here are some guys down pit road. As the field gets more and more clustered, little battles start happening throughout. Jacob Fye gonna find himself down pit road. Brian McFerrin gonna find himself down pit road. These two battling it out. Also got jumped in pit road. Thomas Bressie got tipped by Matthew Thunhorst. He will be leading over him as Justin Morton leads over both. So if everyone else pits in front of him, he will be scored as the leader. To the carousel now. Morton over Thunhorst and Bressie. I believe once everyone has to make the final pit stop, he will be cycled out to the lead. And so pit strategy there from the number 9 was absolutely incredible. He came in earlier than anyone else, was able to build up that gap. He was able to build it up better than anyone else. And that's the important thing, that he was able to build that cushion over the guy behind him. Now he moves up to 4th. So Don Stephenson, the only man to have not come down pit road yet. But I don't know how much fuel Don Stephenson has in his car, but I'd imagine that he has to pit this time by. I wouldn't see it any other way. It's a miracle if he is able to stay out on those tires. Not only that, does he have enough? He doesn't have enough fuel, so he will have to pit. Let's see. Does he pit this time by? It continues to stay out. Don Stephenson will remain our leader here in Watkins Glen. As it's kind of interesting to see Justin Morton, Matthew Thunhorst, and Thomas Bressie now all flipped in the order because Bressie made a mistake on pit road. He fell back, didn't have as great of a pit stop as the rest of the field did, so he will fall back. Justin Morton, on the other hand, had a phenomenal pit stop and now holds a strong but mighty lead over Matthew Thunhorst. These guys behind him now spreading out again. To Thomas Bressie, the man who was our once leader, is now back in 4th. And he seems so confident out there, pacing the field, for pretty much the entire race, and had then just fallen back during pit stop cycle and lost the streak of laps that he had led. It looks like Thomas Bressie now will start to have to go through traffic, as well as Matthew Thunhorst will have to cut his way up through. He'll pass the 48. Stephenson now comes down pit road. Morton will cycle out to the lead. But Morton, one of those able to go down pit road earlier and use that time that he gained going down pit road earlier and gained him some spots, as now he clears over Matthew Thunhorst by about 2.3 seconds. And Thomas Bressie is right on the heels of the number 8. As Don Stevenson continues to lose spots, he'll come out of pit road right now. He'll drop from the lead all the way to 10th. Well, Justin Morton, last time by, 14.654. Matthew Thunhorst, last time by, 13.959. So we'll have to see what happens there in the end. But these guys still trying to catch each other for the lead. You're watching the Integrity Ignite Series here on FTN, lap 30 now. We'll be right back after this break.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Boundless makes its presence felt. It will not be ignored. We're helping turn ideas into reality with a wealth of building products that take every architectural style to the next level. This is what it's like to imagine, build, and transform anything we want into exactly what we seek. This is what it means to be boundless.
So the difference between these guys coming on pit road at different times is really what's shaking things up here. Justin Morton now with a 14.551. Matthew Thernhorst a 14.516. About 0.04 of a second in pace differential between these two up front, our top two. And that has been the deciding factor thus far. No one else been able to close up so far. Thernhorst now within that 1.1 second area between these guys. And that's been something to take note of. He's been close and closing throughout these laps. Ever since the pit stop cycle, he's been closing and closing on our leader. But what started as a 2.8 second gap has now diminished to a 1.2 second gap. And as for the opposite case, Thomas Gressy now has gone up to a 2.4 second gap behind our top two. So the man who led pretty much every lap further on from the beginning of the race has now fallen all the way back to third and is slowing down compared to our top two. So even though Thernhorst had a 0.2 of a second lap faster, with a 14.674 for Morton, and for Thernhorst a 4.82 last time by, the gap has actually increased to about a 1.3 second gap. So maybe Thernhorst, even though he's faster, may be starting to fall behind on some mistakes. But we'll have to see what the difference might be as the laps play out. Nick Turbach trying to get a spot on Jacob Fife, as these two will start to go nose to nose, or nose to bumper, throughout the carousel. They'll get closer. Turbach right behind the number 36 of Jacob Fye as they battle it out through the final two corners. Fye cuts the nose, but with that line is able to gain time. And so instead of it being about a 1/10 of a second gap, it's back to 3. Five gets loose, and now it's back to almost a 2/10 of a second gap between these two. That gap getting ever and ever so closer. Here's Cody Erdman right behind Braxton DeWeese. This is the battle for that 12th position. He's right on board with Cody Erdman. He is trying to get right behind the 13, and it looks like he'll get really close, almost wheel hopped. You could hear it. The engine started bogging down, and it almost felt like it was, juddering in the back. That's what happens because these cars are solid rear axle. Once you lock up the rear brakes by having too much rear brake bias, you start to judder the whole rear end of the car up and down, and that is what causes wheel hop, because the wheel is physically hopping and skidding across the surface as it's trying to slow down. When it hits the ground, it comes back off. The brakes will slow and stop the wheel, essentially locking it in the air. Then, when the tire comes back onto the ground, it'll get rolling again, but because it was stopped, it'll roll and skip off the ground. Now, this takes a lot of weight off the rear end of the car and unsettles the car a lot under braking. And so that is exactly what happened there. Nick Turbach now falling back a little bit further from Jacob Fife. He tried to make the move and was unable to, as he started to slide back a little bit more. As that gap will increase, Fife gets loose, and so the gap will decrease once again. I feel like once Fife makes a mistake, it allows Nick Turbach to reel him back in, but I just don't think Nick Turbach has the total speed to match. And I think that might be his biggest issue right now. He's not as fast as Jacob Fife. No matter what he does, he's still going to be a little bit slower. Really good through the bus stop here, though, as he gets right up close to the back bumper of the 38 or the 36 of Jacob Fife, and really good to the carousel too, making sure to wrap that orange line around the bottom, and loose goes Fife, and misses the pass and the mistake that Nick Turbach needed. The 29 will pass the 36 of Jacob Fife after Fife made a mistake coming off the carousel and just left the door wide open for Nick Turbach to waltz on by. And so these guys have been battling it out so far for a majority of this time. Checking in with our leaders, Matthew Thirnhorst has now caught up our leader another 0.4 of a second, as Thirnhorst still slower by that last lap. Justin Morton a 15.085, Thirnhorst a 15.113. Brian McFerrin doing battle with DeWeese and Cody Smith. They're going to go side by side throughout the S's, with DeWeese trying to battle out as well, riding on board with Cody Smith. As he will lose the spot to DeWeese, he will slide in right behind the 13. Well, it was a good effort to try and make a couple of passes, but Cody Erdman still within this mix as well. He's getting up right behind the back bumper of the 18. And he was closer there just for a second, slid the rear tires entering the carousel, and that will slide him around. So now, as he slowly peeks to the inside, yes, he'll dive it down the inside, almost makes contact, will slide, but the 18 will give him the spot. As the 18 tries to send it back down to the inside, and he's unable to. Cody Smith will give up the spot to Cody Erdman. And so far, these guys have been doing a phenomenal job battling it out. And Justin Morton has been one to try and hold on to the position that he has, but it's right now Thirnhorst right behind him, caught up a considerable amount of time. Last lap for Justin Morton, 15.527. Last lap for Thirnhorst, 15.098. So far, we've been watching this chase up for a good majority of this time, but now, why don't we take a listen to this chase? Ladies and gentlemen, turn up your volume on your TV, speakers, headphones, and more, or if you're watching on your phone, at home. We're going to go to an FTN, crank it up. on the brink of just 6 laps to go here from Watkins Glen, and Justin Morton had pulled away for about a 1.3 second lead again over Matthew Thornhorst, but the tables have turned, and now that gap is down to a .60 right as we go down the back straightaway. And one thing I'd like to point out is that this race has been completely green thus far. We have not had a single caution for any mistake on track. It has been a completely green run from start to finish. Honestly, we had green flag pit stops around lap 24 through about 26. The pit window was from about 22 to 28, depending on if you fuel saved or not. So the realistic pit window was 23 to 26, and so that's when we really saw people start to come down pit road, and some extend and some not. One of those who didn't extend was Justin Morton. He came in early, just about on lap 23, and so he got the advantage on fresher tires, able to open up a 2.8 second gap, and was able to jump him up a spot for the lead. Right now, he's been able to hold off Matthew Thornhorst on his charge to try and get back up to the lead. Last lap times for both Justin Morton, 14.427. Matthew Thornhorst, a 15.427 for Justin Morton, and for Matthew Thornhorst, a 15.597. But these guys really, with a 0.2 of a second difference now, Thornhorst is starting to fall back, as it was about 0.6, now down to a 0.5, now back up to a 0.9. So Matthew unable to try and catch up to our race leader thus far. He has shown flashes of where he's been faster, and he's been able to try and catch up to the number 9, but it really hasn't been as close as I think he wants to. And while there's still time, because it's a road course, but time is starting to run out on him as it's lap 45 out of 50. We're coming up to 5 laps to go. And if he's still 0.8 of a second back in the next couple of laps, I don't know if he'll have a chance to win unless Justin Morton makes a mistake. And really, Morton has been mistake-free all race. He really has not made a mistake, planned his strategy out to perfection. And that's what got him the lead up thus far. So even though Matthew Thornhorst has been the one to catch him thus far, it hasn't been enough to catch up to Justin Morton, who was battling it out about 0.2 of a second behind Thomas Bressy, who was our once race leader before green flag pit stops. After that shuffle, Morton went up to the lead, and Thornhorst right in front of Bressy. Bressy has fallen back now. He's 4.4 seconds behind. You'll see him at the top of your screen there. It has fallen back quite a significant margin. But here's the flash where Thornhorst is fast. Then again, he came from a 0.9 of a second gap in about a lap ago. Now he's at 0.665. So he's getting closer once again. But as he tries to get closer up to the 9, I feel like he gets a little too risky, starts sliding around and makes mistakes, and that will cost him on his charge to try and get to the lead. Cody Erdman working his way up to the back of Braxton DeWeese. This is about a 0.7 of a second gap. Was 0.5 on timing and scoring through the bus stop. So he has been faster than DeWeese, as DeWeese is going to slide on the extra pavement out to the left. And Erdman will capitalize. He gained about a couple tenths now, up to a 0.485. And so he is catching him, and up to a significant margin too. He's up to 0.2 of a second now, as he's getting right up to the back bumper. DeWeese here, we could see a pass here in the next few corners if Erdman can hook it up right. Going to get right behind the 13 of DeWeese, going through 1 and 2, and he's going to slide a bit on exit, but that was a really clean exit from Cody. He'll be right behind the 13 going through the S's. And if he gets this absolutely perfect, especially now, he needs to get on the throttle before he does, then not slide the rear tires, because all that momentum is carried down through that curve and down the back straightaway into the bus stop. And we saw that's where he gained time last time, up to 0.2 of a second now. 1.5, he'll be right behind DeWeese as he tries to figure out a way around. That's exactly what happened last time. He slides up to the entrance of the carousel, and that'll get him sideways through the carousel, and he'll lose time again. Wiggles the car out of the carousel through, before, through, and after, and that will lose him all the time that he had gained. And now he'll be right back to square one, trying to get around and get close to the 13 again. And so that almost worked for the number 51. Well, here comes Rob Ackley to the back bumper of Thomas Bressie. He's going to be real close and want the move made. He's about 0.3 of a second back. This is about when we've seen people get a little bit too aggressive when trying to catch the person in front, start making mistakes, and then that's when they slide back again. It'll all be up to Ackley if he can truly manage this to perfection. If he is able to get within that certain gap and manage his pace and try and manage an attempt to pass, he looks to the inside in turn one, but he gets outbroke by the 24, and he'll slide in right behind, as now the gap is to 0.2 of a second. These two will slide around through the S's, but now Ackley will try and carry that momentum that he got, especially out to the middle of the S's down the back, and see if he can make a move through the bus stop now down to a 0.276. So on the move and getting closer to Thomas Bressie, who has fallen back from the lead all the way to the third after green flag pit stops. And he had fallen quite a significant margin. As these two are going to get closer and closer. Now down to 0.1 of a second. Will he try and dive and make the move in the final corners? We'll have to see. But right now, to the white flag, it's going to be Justin Morton one more time around Watkins Glen. He's led everything up to this point. Can he hold off the position from Matthew Thurnhorst for the lead? This is the closest that Matthew Thurnhorst has been within 0.3 of a second. He's made mistakes when he's gotten about to the 0.5 of a second range. He's gotten closer, no mistake just yet. We're going to the S's for the final time, and Thurnhorst looks to have lost a bit of time down to a 0.370. We'll see if he gains any through the bus stop. Lap traffic coming into view. This might affect the battle for the lead, as they're closer than I thought. But Thurnhorst won't be able to gain the time he needs through the bus stop. It'll be really close, but it's 0.4 of a second exiting the carousel with just 2 corners to go. Gap now down to a 3.90. He has 2 more corners left to make a move. Does Thurnhorst send it on the 9? 1 more corner to go. Morton with incredible pit stop strategy. Tries to send the dive, but won't able to work. Justin Morton will come across the line to win at Watkins Glen after executing perfect pit strategy to take the lead and never look back. Justin Morton executed that final segment of the race to perfection. Was able to get away with that pit stop strategy, and that worked out much more in his favor than I thought it would, and just able to hold off a hard charging Matthew Thurnhorst there in the end, wiggling for all the extra gas. I think he might be running out. He may have run down the fuel to perfection too. So Justin Morton gonna burn it down in the tarmac by the bus stop. As Justin Morton burns it down, let's take a look at your final results. Justin Morton able to hold off a hard-charging Matthew Thurnhorst. Then it's Thomas Bressie, Rob Ackley, Timothy Johnston, Chad Mickoz, Nick Turbach, Don Stephenson, Jacob 5, and Braxton DeWeese to round out your top 10. Going further down the field, it's Cody Erdman, Michael Stroll, Cody Smith, Kyle Cooper, Chuck Sweeting, Joe Dinsmore, Brian McFerrin, Gail Brooks, Brad Patton, and Sebastian Miller. Rounds out the 20th position. Gail Brooks is the first car a lap down. Brian McFerrin, the last one to stay on the lead lap. Going back down to the further positions, it's Travis McQuiston, Boomer Logan, Ryan Potter, Tim Rogers, and Brandon Bernhardt. Now, the rest of the people listed did not finish the race. Adam S. Wood, Calvin Flask, Forrest Smith, and Alan Rowell did not start. Incredible win for Justin Morton as he's going to burn it down by the front straightaway. It was an absolutely perfect win, and I couldn't imagine he'd done it any other way. He had really proven himself there by sticking with Bresci there in the first half of the race. He was able to pull it off there in the end, able to pull off with the perfect pit strategy. And really, it was almost perfect, better than what you could imagine. That worked out well in his favor, and he will park it on the front straightaway. Justin Morton, your winner here from Watkins Glen. Interviews now underway. Let's get a word with the man who finished third, Thomas Bresci. If I can find him. There he is. With the 24 of Thomas Bresci able to come home third. So, Thomas, you were in the top half and led the first half of the race before the green flag pit stops. You put on an absolute showstopper there in the first half. Didn't let anyone try and pass you and played great defense. You came home third, so congratulations on the podium. Kind of run me through how your race went.
I ran out of talent. That's how the race kind of went. I don't know. It was just... I don't know. I was just telling my teammates this because we were just talking about it, but the car felt different literally at every point of the night. Practice, it was different to qualifying, to the first stint of the race, to the second stint. It was just not great. I think I was trying to kind of pace myself and take care of the rears because for whatever reason here at the Glen, you just have to drive with like an egg under your foot the whole time. You can't even really think about sliding the back of the car at all. And I think just trying to manage that and having Justin as close as he was that first run, I think it just kept getting me loose and I just blew the rears off of it completely. And then I was going to pit like the end of 24. And then Justin, because he was saying he locked up or whatever with like 2 corners left the lap before, so he just pitted there. And I knew it was pretty much at that point. But I was hopeful maybe that his mistake would kind of offset me going 1 lap longer. And then I just decided not to stop at the sign in the pit box, which is always a great idea. So lost a spot to Matt on the overcut, so that was great. And then I was trying to just bring it home at that point, and the car felt okay, and then it was like 6-7 to go. It was like a light switch, and the thing just quit working completely. So about lost third to Rob, so that was great. Disappointing, but I think might have gotten the bonus point for most laps led. I think probably close between me and Justin, but it is what it is. I mean, I got a pole at least, so that's fun. Congrats to Justin. My teammate got a win. Matt finished second. That's awesome. So JT Motorsports podium sweep, which is cool, but wish we could have maybe been a couple spots better.
Well, honestly, from my perspective, the Watkins Glen race here was really, really good. The Xfinity car is one of my favorite cars to bring here, especially one of my favorite stock car road course combos, because you really get a feeling of what it's like to drive around. I said at the beginning of the broadcast, so it's not really like the Roval. What were your thoughts on the combo?
I mean, it's the Glen. It's kind of hard to go wrong with any car, to be honest, whether it's a stock car or it's a GT car, GTP cars, whatever it is. So, I mean, I've always had a good time here. I wish I did a little better tonight, but I mean, it's usually a happy hunting ground for me anyways. So I'm not too upset, but yeah, I mean, it was all right. Just didn't quite have enough tonight, so that was kind of all there was to it.
Well, you finished top 3. Congratulations on that. Anything else you'd like to say, or anyone else you'd like to thank?
Yeah, just again, shout out to the JT Motorsports guys. Justin on the win. Matt is sort of on the team, sort of not. He kind of runs with us, but congrats on the P2 for him. And, of course, shout out to all our series sponsors, the folks on the admin team that put the series together, you guys putting the broadcast on, everybody that tuned in. Hope you all enjoyed the race. And hopefully the next couple weeks go a little better. We've had a lot of races in this 24 camp get through our hands. Probably like 4 or 5 wins probably get away from us so far this year. So going home to Dover next week, which is great. I love Dover. It's one of my favorites. Got Charlotte coming up. Sonoma's got, we got another road course coming up. So we got some good tracks coming up here soon. So hopefully we can finally get another win this year.
Well, from what I saw out on track today, if it wasn't for a couple mistakes, I'm sure I'll get another win in the books. Congratulations on coming home in third, even though maybe it wasn't the result that you wanted after getting on pole and leading the first half of the green before the green flag pit stops. But once again, congratulations on coming home third. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope to see you back in the booth very, very soon.
Appreciate it, man. Take care.
Voice of the man who finished third. That's Thomas Bressi in the 24. He had led most of the race beforehand and was unable to get it done there in the end. But let's take a look. Let's get a word with the man who finished second in Matthew Thurnhorst. Matthew Thurnhorst, you come home in that second position, oh so close, had absolutely run down Justin Morton. Maybe did you need a couple more laps to just get it done?
The thing I really needed was just the whole course to just be those S's, because that's where I was getting them the most, and it's just kind of the demons of seasons past where I kind of ate up the tires last season, and it kind of came back to haunt me on that second run when I saw Justin was there, and it's like, oh, I have a shot at this, and I kind of burned the rears off. So I'd get them heated up, I'd let them cool down a little bit, and then me and Justin were basically just trading lap time. So, maybe a couple more laps would have done it, but I also know the tires were screaming to come off of it. So the fact Justin held me off a couple lap older tires, not too shabby. So, it's good to see him as a teammate and a friend get the win. And it just, I'll honestly say the goal for this race was just not to get wrecked and have that go the wrong way. So just to qualify decently and go up there and run strong at the podium and kind of run the top 2 down after I kind of fell behind a couple of seconds is a good feeling regardless.
Well, you came oh so close, and it really was an enjoyable feeling to try and watch you catch and run down Justin Morton. And it really was just about a 0.4 of a second gap, or 0.7 in the end. But it really was a good race. Now, the Xfinity car at Watkins Glen is one of my favorite road course combos there is, especially with a stock car. What were your thoughts overall on the combo tonight?
I'm always a big fan when you get these big, wieldy stock cars with, no ABS, no traction control, and you get to go take them out on a road course like this. It's really where road course racing becomes fun for me, whereas, when you got all that electronics and all that stuff, I'm not really a fan of it. So, it's when you get to slide, it stinks a little bit when you slide a little bit too much like I was doing there at points, and then you get the tires all cooked and then they're angry at you. So, but it's definitely a lot of fun. These things aren't planted in the ground by no means, and if you make a mistake, you will pay for it. So, it's just a lot of fun, really stressful times, because sometimes you're so far on the radio's edge and sometimes you cross over it, and it's just hoping you have enough track to recover it before you eat a guardrail or something.
Well, you come home in second, another podium finish. Congratulations on coming home second. It was a good race from you all in all. Is there anything else you'd like to say, or anyone else you'd like to thank?
Yeah, just just the integrity Night Series, the admins, just everybody races, everybody watches. Big thanks to them, and just all the sponsors help put this on. Next Level Racing, Big Evil Designs, Yell at Fireball Talks NASCAR. David's out, but thanks to him for doing it. And I see your name's Throttle. I don't know what your real name is, but thanks to you as well, Throttle, for doing all the work you do and help putting this on when David's absent.
It's funny and you say that. I accidentally joined the session as a driver, so I'm actually at the back of the field. My name's Alexander Balderas. So saw me in there. I just didn't race because I didn't mean to do that. But thank you.
Yeah. So thanks to you, Alexander, for all the work you do, and just just thanks for everybody tuning in. And I don't know where we're at next week. Probably no right-hand turn. So hopefully we'll see everybody back and get to have some more fun next Monday night.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on coming home second, and I hope to see you back at the booth very, very soon.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Alex.
Well, that was the man who finished second, Matthew Thurnhorst. Now let's get an interview with our winner, Justin Morton. You come home with the win here from Watkins Glen after being right behind the leader of Bressie there for the entire first stint. You come down pit road first, make that first aggressive strike, and then you lead the rest of the race and don't look back. Walk me through how you did it.
Yeah, I was planning on trying to pit before Bressie and everybody else originally, but I had a huge lockup trying to not run over Bressie. I kind of just decided that was the moment to go, so I did, and it just seemed to work out. It's earlier than I really wanted to pit because I knew the tires by the end would be pretty unequal between whoever was behind me at the time. But yeah, just managed to manage just enough to keep in front of Matt and just kind of try to run my own race and not make any mistakes.
Well, you actually, I want to comment on that. You were probably the most consistent driver I saw throughout the field. You rarely ever made a mistake. Not that I caught any off of you running in the front. I saw others make mistakes, but for you, I think it was at your absolute consistency that got you able to be so close to Bressie there in the first half. And then once you didn't make a mistake like he did on pit road, you were so clean and cut out. You know, it was kind of lights out from there. But Matthew did get close to you in the end. Were you kind of worrying that he might put up a battle with a couple laps to go?
Yeah, I was definitely watching my relative, watching him close in slowly. I think he just hit a wall at some point where the tires just kind of became even. But, I mean, he was better on the tires on that first run, so that made me even more nervous, especially pitting 2 laps before him. Yeah.
Well, Justin, you come home with the win here from Watkins Glen. Overall, I thought the combo here was great. What are your thoughts on the Xfinity car here at Watkins Glen? I think it always puts on a good show.
Yeah, I think it puts on a pretty good race. The car was pretty tricky to drive. The rear tires, just there wasn't much grip, and so the entire way through the S's, the entire race, whether it's fresh tires or really old tires, we were fiddling with the throttle and just trying to manage it pretty much the entire way around the track. Watkins isn't my favorite track ever, but it's a really good combination with any stock car, really. So I always look forward to racing here.
Well, congratulations on it coming home with the win, Justin. Anything else you'd like to say or anyone else you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody at JTM, Matt and Bressie. They both had a strong race. It's always fun to hang out and race with them. Thanks to Stroll for putting this paint scheme together. I'm super happy with how it turned out. Thanks to all the admins who put the lead together and run everything. And thank you for doing the broadcasting.
Well, congratulations on coming home with the win, Justin. Hope to see you back in the booth very, very soon. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Well, that was your winner, Justin Morton, who came home with the win here from Watkins Glen after an absolute thriller there in the final laps. Well, as we close out another great FTN show, I have been your host, producer, and commentator, Alexander Balderas, here for the Integrity Ignite series here on FTN. It's been a wonderful time producing and commentating here from Watkins Glen. It was a phenomenal race here, start to finish, completely green through and through. For all Fireball Talks NASCAR related content, make sure to scan the QR code on your screen right now to join our official Discord for more race information and access to interviews and in-house productions. Want to get in on the FTN side of things as far as broadcasting and iRacing goes? Scan the QR code on your screen right now to get in-house benefits, interviews, and more. And those of you looking to go from the armchair racer to the official racer, scan the QR code on your screen right now to join the iRacing community and learn more about the iRacing landscape. Want to join us on some of the broadcasts or join some of the leagues that we do? You may find yourself in an FTN broadcast very, very soon. Scan the QR code on your screen right now and join us here on iRacing. Well, that's going to about do it here for me, Alexander Balderas, producer and commentator here for FTN. This has been the Integrity Ignite series at Watkins Glen, and truly, what a good race it was. Thank you so much for all who tuned in. Happy Monday, and hope you all have a very good and safe night. This is Alexander Balderas from FTN, signing off.